Hi everyone, and welcome to Integration Astrology, and we're looking at another transit video today. And the transit that we'll be looking at is the Mercury going retrograde in Aquarius starting on the 30th of January, and this will be happening for about 3 weeks. The reason I'm choosing this one is we have a lot coming up and happening in Aquarius over February. And not only because it is the month for Aquarius, there's just a lot of planets transiting through Aquarius and making aspects with other planets, especially in Taurus with Uranus and Mars there. So we'll have some more videos coming soon about all of those things as well. But today I think we need to set the scene with what Mercury is telling us regarding it's going retrograde in Aquarius. It's sort of setting the scene for what is coming up in February. And Mercury is all about rethinking and revisiting your thoughts. And because Aquarius is already an air sign and is very much a sign of the mind, there's something important here that we need to be revisiting and rethinking about, especially as it pertains to our traumas or the way in which we want to liberate ourselves, or something to do with our sort of a higher perspective of our dreams, and also perhaps putting our unique talents to some sort of contribution. It can be about any of these things depending on where you're at in your life right now. So what we'll do is I'll take 2 cards for each house and see what the energies are sort of particularly saying. So I'll look at the astrology, of course, of that house, but I'll also be looking at what the tarot cards, what insight they're giving us on what else to be sort of focusing on in particular during these 3 weeks of Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. So all you need to do is take a look at where Aquarius is in your chart, which house or houses, and listen into, with the links below, listen into what the cards have to say for you. So I'll see you there. Okay, let's start with Aquarius in the first house. So with all this energy going through Aquarius, the first house is representative of a new beginning completely for who you are, who you're becoming, who you want to be. You're spending a lot of time, or hopefully you're spending a lot of time thinking about, and with Mercury going retrograde, this is what you want to be doing in February, is rethinking all about who, how and who and what would be representative of this sort of new expression of yourself, who you want to be, what you want to contribute, where you've come from, what you want to release about any of the trauma or things that keep you feeling isolated and trapped inside yourself or otherwise, and who you're emerging into in the world. So let's take a look at the cards, and we have the Ace of Pentacles and also the King of Swords in reverse. So the rethinking that you'll be doing, the re-examining, certainly has to do with some sort of a new beginning that you're thinking about. So you might be thinking about a new project, a new way of making money, a new way, just new projects in general. It doesn't have to be a way that makes money, but a new beginning in something material, so not a romance, and not necessarily something spiritual, but something very much in the 3D in this world. So you're thinking of creating something, putting your energy into something. It's asking you to rethink this in terms of this King of Swords in reverse, which I feel is representing here this new beginning, this new thing that you're thinking of doing. is it really the highest expression of your mind? Is it really the best use of your mind? And in terms of it being in Aquarius, is it really going to be contributing something to other people, or really is it more selfish and is it more for you rather than is it really the new beginning that you want? In some way, like the King of Swords in reverse can talk of things to do with like manipulation and using your words against people. So whatever it is that you might be thinking of beginning, is there some way that the energy you'll be putting into that actually doesn't serve other people? You want to think about which new beginning will avoid, I guess, this King of Swords in reverse. So which new beginning would be a higher expression of whatever you're thinking? What are you thinking of doing that will actually allow you to become the person that you want to be this year and going forward? Because as we said, Mercury retrograde is kind of creating this first, or one of the first sort of clearings. Jupiter has been coming through, giving you the vision. Mercury is asking you to go back and rethink everything that you've been thinking so far, just to double check that the new beginning that is coming is really representative of what you really want it to be. Second house, Aquarius. So what we're looking at here, and all the change and all the energy that's coming through, is really to do with your finances, the way that you make money. That could be a very big issue all year, but especially now. And whether the way that you're making money is really aligned with your values, your innermost values, and also whether there might be something about the way that how secure you feel, or how confident you feel, or the degree to which you are valuing yourself. All of these things are contributing to whether you are able to really liberate yourself in a way that you are able to provide yourself with the resources that you need in the way that is very unique to you, because the way that you like to provide for yourself is very unique, because you have Aquarius as in your second house, and the way that you like to think about your own values. Your values are very unique, they're very different. You're on the cutting edge in many ways, or you're on the edge in some way regarding values and all of those things. So it feels like something is breaking through in terms of how is everything aligning with your values this year and currently, and how is that contributing to your ability to provide yourself with the resources you want in the way that you want, which predominantly would be about the way that you're currently making money. So Mercury retrograde will be asking you to rethink these things in, let's see, the following ways. What particularly? Okay, so we have the High Priestess in reverse and also the Queen of Cups in reverse. So they're both really indicating that you are, or you're potentially ignoring currently your intuition and your feelings, that you're just plowing ahead. So there's a lot of energy coming in to make change, but it seems that you're not necessarily aware of that, or really listening to that information that is available to you. And Mercury retrograde is asking you to rethink, but the way to do that is to first really connect with your intuition and your emotions. Find a way to tune into really how you're feeling, and the signs and symbols that you are receiving, if you will look out for them and read those signs and tune into those signs and believe in those signs, then the rethinking of what you need to do next in order to really make a new start and new changes to the way you're making money, and being sure they align with what's really important to you and what you think you can really contribute that is quite unique. You're not going to get there unless you first of all address the way in which you're really ignoring a lot of what's coming in for you about how you feel and what your intuition is telling you about where to go next. Okay, taking a look now at Aquarius in the third house. So all of the energy that's going through your third house right now is really talking a lot about sort of liberating the way in which you think. This is more like Mercury retrograde will be in a house that it really understands and belongs to, the third house of thought and mental energy. So there's a lot about that, and liberating the way you think can mean being more innovative about what you're learning, or being a little bit more unique and unusual about what you're choosing to learn. And that then can translate into the sort of what you're putting your mind to, what you're talking about, what you're reading about, what you're thinking about. All of these things are having the opportunity to be liberated. And of course, for you with a third house Aquarius, it's likely already that the way that you think, the way that you talk, the things you like to learn are somewhat unusual. But perhaps, for whatever reason, this needs to be reinvigorated right now because you might be stuck in a rut to some extent. So Mercury going retrograde is asking you just to have a rethink about where you're focusing your thoughts, where you're focusing your mental energy. What are you talking about with other people? What are you reading? What are you learning? Or are you just not even doing those things? And do you need to start again in the way that is most natural to you, which would tend to be quite innovative and different? So if we have a look at our cards here, we have the Page of Wands in reverse and also Temperance in reverse. Okay, so again, both of these being in reverse, it does seem that perhaps you are not really letting your natural creativity and your natural inventiveness, that is Aquarius, come through in your thoughts, in your words, in what you're learning, etc. So the Page of Wands is usually quite excited to experiment, and so around, if it was upright, I mean, that would be everything's kind of on track in terms of Aquarian energy, being inventive and creative and innovative and all of those sorts of things. But in reverse, it's saying that where you are putting your mental energy lately is not invigorating enough for you. And you need to rethink where you are limited in your innovation, why it is that you're not liberating yourself from whatever's keeping you stuck. And Temperance in reverse is along the same lines. I mean, Temperance upright, yes, it can mean keeping things in balance, but it can also mean really blending things together, and that is also very much what the third house is about. The third house is very much about taking a bit of this, a bit of that, a bit of something else, making it your own by integrating it and blending it into your own unique point of view, especially in Aquarius. And in reverse, it's saying you're not really doing that. You're not really using your mental energy to best effect, and to best effect would be in a way that is innovative, in a way that is creative, in a way that takes an assortment of different ideas and thoughts and interests and blends them together in a way that makes your style of learning, your thought processes, your style of communication very innovative, cutting edge, very Aquarian. So those are some things to think about over the next 3 weeks. Looking now at Aquarius in the 4th house. So what we're looking at, or the energy in the 4th house, is all about your emotions, your emotional well-being, understanding what your emotions are really telling you. It's about the feminine, it's about home and nurturing yourself and making yourself feel nurtured. Could literally be about what's going on in your home life, and the extent to which your home life is really giving you a sense of freedom, a sense of an ability to access your dreams, what you really want to do, what you contribute, if your home is a good sort of landing place for that, or a good nest for that. And also the degree to which perhaps your home life is a little bit unusual, but if in ways that serve you as well and serve your emotional well-being. So Mercury retrograde is asking you to have a think about your emotions, your emotional well-being, to have a look at your home life, just to rethink the way things are, to see if everything is really the way that they need to be and should be, as a good nest, as a good foundation so that you can launch from and move forward. So we have here the 8 of Wands upright, and then the 9 of Wands upright. So the 8 of Wands says that things are changing quite fast. Change is coming in fast, and you might be receiving news in some way. Something is coming in quickly that will help you with this sort of rethinking process. All the thoughts are coming in quickly. I mean, the rethinking might really come at you really rapid fire, and what you might be rethinking about is you might be receiving like a lot of messages from your emotional body, from your emotions, if you are tuned into them. And that's where the 9 of Wands comes in. It's not enough to just receive information, or it's not enough just to see a lot of opportunities for change, or you need to take them up. You then need to take what's come in, the messages you're receiving, and you need to go with it, and you need to stick with it. You need to have some tenacity. You need to see it through. So it seems to be really saying that, let's say it's in your home life, there could be a change coming. With all this Aquarian energy, obviously Aquarian energy can be disruptive anyway, but not in a bad way, of course. It can be in a good way. But this energy coming in, or these changes coming in, might be changing quite fast. And what you need to do is to hold steady to these changes and see them through to the end, rather than feeling that you need to escape them or be fearful of those. If you're getting a lot of information and energy around your emotions, if you're feeling very emotional, if you're having a wide range of emotions, all of these are trying to tell you something. They're sending you a message, and your job is to stick with those and really feel them, follow them through, allow them to give you access to your mind and what you're really thinking and what needs to be changed in your emotional world or in your home life, so that all of this Aquarian energy can really help liberate you and set you forward on a new path. With Aquarius in the 5th house, we sort of have opposing energies. We have the Leo energy and the Aquarian energy combined together, and so really you have a strong element. If you have Aquarius as your 5th house, you have a strong element of really wanting to direct your uniqueness and your creative potential to something higher. And so the energy at this time is really allowing you to reclaim that focus, understand how you can do this in a new way, give you a chance to make a new beginning, getting to know yourself and how you can put all that together, as well as liberating you from whatever is holding you back from allowing yourself to be seen, allowing yourself to express your creative potential, allowing yourself to really put your uniqueness to something that is really important to you, and that could potentially be important to the world as well. So this is what we're looking at here. So Mercury retrograde is asking you to rethink all of these things before making decisions on how to move forward. So we have here the Queen of Wands in reverse and the Empress upright. I love this Queen of Wands in reverse. It really looks like a fairy godmother, but it's in reverse. So it's like if she's the fairy godmother and she allows you to understand your specialness upright, it's like you're not really gaining access to how special you are. You don't believe in yourself. You are not following your intuition that comes from your creative being. You are not putting your innovative and inventive energy towards your gifts, or you're not using your gifts in that way. And so probably there is some insecurity here. And that insecurity is really holding you back from birthing, with the Empress, really birthing your creativity and birthing your creative potential, and really having all an abundance of sort of creative energy that you can put towards something important to you. I mean, if we're thinking, the fifth house can be about romance as well and relationships, and it just seems like, in a way, again, coming back to the fairy godmother, I'm having this imagery coming in here with this card. I guess Mercury retrograde is asking you to really rethink who needs to be the authority on giving you the power to acknowledge yourself as special. In romance, are you waiting to be chosen, or are you on the sidelines with that, or are you choosing yourself first and choosing the sorts of relationships and dating and romance and getting to know someone in the way that you want? Or are you too scared to do that unless someone gives you a green light? And the Empress then is this sort of ultimate happiness, and the ultimate feminine as well. So in romance, if you want to get to being like the ultimate feminine who is receiving love, and where everything flows her way and she can just stand in her feminine power, you need to turn this around really and be your own fairy godmother, and make sure that you are secure in yourself and that you understand like how strong the power is of your intuition and how special you are. Taking a look now at 6th house Aquarius. So the 6th house is really a lot about your everyday life, your routines, your habits, your work, your health. Could be about any of those things. It's also really about a lot to do also. This is another house for Mercury, being a Virgo house, about really like what's going on in your inner thoughts, because the quality of all those things, your health, your everyday life, how you feed yourself, what your sleep habits are like, what sort of work you're doing, where you're putting that sort of energy, all of those things first come from the quality or lack thereof of your thoughts and what you're thinking and how you're your perception of yourself and the world is affecting those things. So Mercury retrograde is asking you to really think about your thoughts, listen or observe at least your inner critic to see, okay, how much rulership does your inner critic have over all these aspects of your life? How much is your inner critic really perpetuating more of the same sorts of trauma and holding you back from liberation? So that's what we're sort of looking at here. And with Aquarius in your 6th house, you like to do all of these things: your health habits, your work habits, your everyday habits. The way that you live your life is probably in general quite unusual, and you like it that way, and it's better if it is that way. So, but it hasn't been that way lately. I guess that's what you want to ask yourself. So let's take a look at the cards. We have the Hierophant in reverse and the 3 of Swords in reverse. So the Hierophant in reverse, I think what Mercury retrograde is saying here is you want to have a rethink about where you are getting your wisdom from. Who are you listening to? When you think about all these 6th house things, who are you listening to in terms of what is best? Is it coming from inside yourself? Do you create this, or are you listening to what other people are saying? And perhaps, I mean, it could be going either way. This could be saying that you need to find a way to restore the Hierophant and make it upright, so that perhaps you should do a little bit more research on ways and means that would be best for you, and you'll know which one is true depending on what you're already doing. Or perhaps you should be doing more of this Hierophant in reverse, and you should be not listening to so much traditional wisdom on these subjects of habit forming, on health, of sleep patterns, on how to work, how to make yourself successful in your work, all these things. That instead you should be relying much more on your own wisdom and what you can receive from higher wisdom, whether that be your higher self, your intuition, or tuning into other spiritual sources for that information. And I think what that would lead to, doing that allows you to sort of rethink your healing. I mean, with the 3 of Swords in reverse, it looks like the swords are falling away from the heart rather than piercing it. So, which indicates sort of the healing of your emotions, perhaps, and also just healing in general. And also, swords being a mental sign, the healing of your thoughts, which comes full circle around back to that inner critic that we were talking about. So if you are able to free yourself a little bit from where you receive your wisdom, then there can be a healing to this sort of inner critic. And then that can then lead you on a more liberated path towards the way you live your life, your health, your work, and all of these things. And Mercury retrograde is asking you to put your mental focus here during its retrograde period. 7th house Aquarius. So what we're looking at here is really the house of relationship, the way that you relate to other people, the sorts of relationships you have, especially one-on-one relationships, and your ability to meet your own needs, ask for your needs to be met, meet the needs of other people, all of the communication that goes, like balanced communication of really listening to others and also of really hearing what they're saying, and of course being able to speak and say what is on your mind as well, and having the courage to do all of those things. So with Aquarius in this house, there might be that your relationships have perhaps sometimes a little bit too much of the mental energy and not enough of the heart, or that perhaps your relationships tend to be triggering for you and might trigger some of your trauma, or your relationships tend to be quite unusual. They are atypical in some way, not that there's anything wrong with that. Or that your relationships are a big part of your support for being able to achieve your dreams and realize your uniqueness and realize how you can make a unique contribution. So there's a lot of these sorts of things going on here. And with Mercury going retrograde here, it might be talking about something that is going on in a significant relationship, or the desire for a significant relationship. So let's take a look at the cards. We have the Knight of Cups upright and the Six of Wands in reverse. So the Knight of Cups is very passionate and full of heart and emotion. And so Mercury might be asking you to rethink the level of passion and heart that you do have in your relationship, if you are thinking about a particular one, or perhaps if you're looking for a significant relationship, then okay, so how much are you prioritizing this? You want to rethink the amount of passion and heart you have. And I mean, the King of Cups is confident. He goes to claim his love. He's not sort of, wondering if this is the right person for him. Does it with courage and heart. And there's vulnerability in that. So are you doing that? Are you doing that enough? Because perhaps the way that you are not doing that is holding you back from this victory. Your relationship is perhaps unsuccessful, isn't everything that you wanted, isn't really allowing yourself to have whatever you think as victory in your relationship, which might be really being seen, being heard, being acknowledged, having your needs met. And perhaps it's because you don't have this courage of vulnerability and heart and passion. You don't let that side of yourself show. And so, of course, then there will be no victory in you being able to stand as yourself and receive as yourself and give of yourself, because you aren't doing the necessary prerequisite of putting your heart on your sleeve. And having some vulnerability in that way. So that could be one thing that it is saying, and of course those things can also apply to if you are attracting or trying to attract a relationship. 8th house, Aquarius. So the 8th house is all about change, really, and transformation. It's about the things that force you to change, like other people, and death obviously is a type of change, but loss and those sorts of things. Marriage forces you to change. Sex can be a great instigator of change within you as well. You can change a lot about how you feel about things. So all of these is the house of change and transformation. It's about what forces you to change, your resistance to change, your resistance to transforming, and your fear of being vulnerable, and then having, opening yourself up, lowering your boundaries, and all of those sorts of things to allow the things into your life that help you transform and change. So, which is usually other people. So that's what we're looking at with the 8th house. And Aquarius gives that energy of the change that comes in your life can be quite disruptive. So you might be, in a way, sort of used to shocking change, or you might not be used to it. You might resist it with every fiber in your being and try to fortify all the walls and boundaries around you to try and prevent against it. But in that way, you're really going against your soul's intentions for you with the 8th house Aquarius, which is asking you to become more comfortable with change so that it's not so shocking, but rather you welcome it as quite liberating. And Mercury retrograde is asking you to put your mental focus here to sort of rethink perhaps your relationship with your own change and transformation, and all of those elements that we discussed that come up in your life to try and encourage you to transform in the way that is best for you. So taking a look at the cards, we have the King of Cups upright and Death in reverse, which is interesting because the Death card is all about, it's the 8th house card, it's the Scorpio card, it's the card of change and transformation that we were just discussing. So the King of Cups is really someone who has fantastic mastery over their emotions and can really like feel their emotions, but let their emotions flow through them. They are not dominated by their feelings. They feel everything, but it is with strength and with deep inner knowing. And I think Mercury is asking you to rethink your emotional mastery. Because it might be that it's your emotional mastery or lack of emotional mastery that is giving you this feeling that you need to protect yourself against the world and against changes coming in, because you're a bit disconnected, disassociated from your emotions. You don't have this emotional mastery, and that is causing all these changes to feel all the more shocking because your emotions control you rather than you having mastery over them and being able to just acknowledge them for what they are and let them flow freely without them swaying your direction. So I think Mercury retrograde is asking you to rethink your level of emotional mastery, to work on that perhaps, because at the moment it is preventing your healthy relationship with change. You're stuck, you are not transforming, you are holding on too tightly, you are holding on to false addictions or attachments of some kind that are preventing your ability to really have this true spiritual transformation on a spiritual level that really enables you to level up. So yeah, I think it's quite clear what the cards are saying for this one. Taking a look now at 9th house Aquarius, and the 9th house is all about really being in touch with your beliefs and your truth. That's what's at the core of the archetype, like sort of your faith in the meaning of life and what you believe about life and what you believe is your truth, your ability to express that truth and to sort of feel real fired up about life and those sorts of things, which means that you then look at the degree to which you're sort of exploring life, where you're getting your knowledge from, what you're thinking about, how you're exploring what you think, how in touch you are with your intuition, also looking at learning as well, and what you gain from cultural insights and religious insights and all of these parts of life. And with Aquarius, it's likely that your beliefs are perhaps a little quirky or a little bit on the edge, or you feel that actually you feel very different. You feel very sort of black sheep within your own culture or family or religion or society of belief structure in some way. And that can be quite traumatizing because you feel like you don't really belong, you haven't found your soul tribe with regards to what you believe is true. And Mercury retrograde is asking you just to really sort of rethink in general your beliefs, what you hold to be true and why, and how you know these things, how you're accessing your knowing, and whether you're really, I guess, using the power of Aquarius to be different, to be innovative, to be creative, to be unique in these parts of your life. So if we take a look at the cards, we have the Two of Swords in reverse and the Ace of Pentacles also in reverse. So the Two of Swords in reverse is sort of talking about, like upright, it would be talking about the way that you know things, the way that you think about things, the way that you decide things, and how you use multiple senses to do that, which includes, I guess, your sixth sense or your intuition of your inner knowing as well. And with it being in reverse, I think we're saying here that you're not strongly accessing your intuition, and you need to sort of rethink the way that you know things, the way that rethink what you know, rethink how you know, and how you get your beliefs and your underlying belief structures and truth. Where do they come from, and do you just receive them and take them for granted, or do you actually use all your senses and all, including your inner knowing, to grant access those? And I think Mercury retrograde is asking you to rethink the degree to which you do that, because also regarding your beliefs and truth, it's as though you are blocked off from a new potential here with the Ace of Pentacles. You could have a new beginning, a new offering, a new material access, really. So like these beliefs could create a new material world for you, and a new way of seeing the world and interacting with it, and having a lot of abundance and a richer life, a more meaningful life. But with Ace of Pentacles in reverse, it seems that all of what is new and could be new is in a way being blocked from you're blocked from that. You are not receiving that. You are not feeling life is abundant. You are not feeling like a lot of opportunities for a meaningful life are coming in for you. And it's all to do with the way that you are accessing what you know, and maybe it's a little bit limited right now, and you need to look at reclaiming the Aquarian energy around these things by really accessing the unique way, your unique beliefs, what you believe to be true, how you are quite observant and objective about beliefs, but at the same time open to looking beyond the known as well, because that's very Aquarian, and Uranus is really looking beyond the known. 10th house Aquarius. So the 10th house is your house of career, your house of achievement, your house of putting yourself out there in the world and being your own authority on who you're going to be, what your life is going to be like, what you're going to achieve, how you're going to be out in the world, and also the degree to which you hold yourself with integrity, to which you are your most adult self. All of these things are 10th house themes. And in Aquarius, it is doing things in unusual ways. Your career is probably quite unusual, or could be, or you want a career that really contributes to the higher good of other people, or you want a career that really makes the most of your unique talents. and those sorts of things. So probably what we're looking at with Mercury retrograde is a rethink about where you're heading with your career, with your adult life, with who is the authority on your life. All of these sorts of things need to be rethought, and one of those is probably more important to you than the others right now. And the cards show us Strength upright and the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. So strength is really a lot about this sort of courage and bravery, of course, to really, I guess, design this life that you want and to go towards your achievements, to go towards the career that you really want. And Mercury retrograde is asking you to rethink how brave are you being? How trusting in yourself are you being? How much do you believe in your own strength to create this career, this life, this adult life that you really want, in a way that is liberating, freeing, makes the most of your potential and your gifts? Are you being brave enough, really, to have this life that you want? And it seems that perhaps Mercury retrograde is telling you no, you're not, because at the moment perhaps your career is more the Knight of Pentacles in reverse, in that you're not really applying yourself, you're not really putting your focus and your energy into having the successful career that you want, that you're not really putting the work in because perhaps you have some fears, you don't have the courage, you're not brave enough, you're not putting in the focus, you're being a little bit lazy when it comes to having the life and the career that you want, or being successful with your achievements or working towards those achievements. These things aren't really happening, and that might be because there's something holding you back. So you need to rethink your own fears. You need to restore your own bravery and courage so that you can really believe in what you're doing. And if you can believe in what you're doing, you'll be more focused about it. You'll put in the work. You will have a plan. You will solidly move towards that plan, and you'll then achieve it. 11th house, Aquarius. So the 11th house is the Aquarian house. So you have the double energy, and it's about your dreams and your friendships and your associations and your contribution of your uniqueness to society, humanitarianism, all of these sorts of things. And so the energy here, the double Aquarian energy, it can be that these sorts of things are actually causing you some pain and trauma, are being triggered, or it can be that they are a little bit stale, and you haven't really put much of your energy recently into friendships, into your dreams, into how your life is going in terms of putting your highest ideals towards your highest contribution. And Mercury retrograde is asking you to rethink all these themes, potentially to rethink your friendships, who you associate with, how in alignment are they with your dreams and with what you want to contribute and with your unique sense of self, and all of those things. So having a look at the cards, we have the 5 of Cups upright and the 3 of Cups upright. Okay, so potentially you might be grieving some friendships, or perhaps you need to let them go and sort of get over some friendships and associations. And Mercury is asking you to put your mental focus here on understanding that, letting them go, letting your emotions flow about that, or perhaps a dream that you've had to let go of, or something around those things. It's let that process happen, because it can lead you to this Three of Cups where you can be celebrating with friends again. I mean, it might be that you just really need to grieve the extent to which friendships have been lost this year or in the past year, because, okay, we've been in isolation, which is very Aquarian, and you have been isolated from people and you've seen perhaps their true colors. This has caused you some trauma, and you are now sort of needing to grieve that before you can move on to having like your soul tribe, your celebration, your group of friends that really are meant for you. But that can come, but you just need to sort of rethink. Perhaps, I mean, have you let go of those friendships? Are you waiting for them to restore themselves? Perhaps that's not the best thing in this situation, and perhaps it's time to let go of those dreams, and so you can get to a point where you will be able to celebrate your true dreams or another dream, or get to a point of this sort of joy again. So I think it's Mercury retrograde is asking you to really reflect on what has happened in these areas of your life in the last year. Come to some sort of objective understanding of it all, see it in a higher perspective, and let your emotions release what needs to be released, and ready yourself for what looks like a great new beginning in all these areas. 12th house Aquarius. So the 12th house is all about your spirituality, really, your access to something beyond yourself, and your ability to sort of flow with the universe, to be part of it, but not be completely overcome by it, but not trying to resist that flow either. And in terms of having Aquarius here, I mean, it might be that you are either like very disassociated from any sort of spirituality on purpose, or that you have felt that isolated and you can't relate really to any religions or sets of beliefs in your life, but that you do feel that something is missing, or that beliefs have been quite traumatizing to you, and spirituality in some way. But on the other hand, you might be someone who really is quite eccentric when it comes to your spirituality in a good way, a way that's very liberating, a way that sort of collects and forms your own special set of beliefs, and that also that you probably have quite a strong access really to some psychic gifts, to being able to sort of download from somewhere some spiritual understandings, and just some understandings in general. But with Mercury going retrograde in your 12th house, you are being asked to sort of rethink the spiritual component to your life, and the way that you sort of are tied in with that, the way that you are going with the flow versus trying to deny and escape and avoid and isolate yourself, or whether you're really sort of jumping right in and going with the flow and having this experience here on earth while keeping your connection to the divine at all times. So let's take a look at the cards. We have the Queen of Swords in reverse and the Queen of Wands upright. So the Queen of Swords upright is she's very discerning, she's very sure, but her mental energy and focus is very strong, but also she's tapped into something higher because all of the queens are. So they have that access to this sort of psychic energy we were talking about. But in reverse, it seems that your mental energy is somewhat scattered. Your thoughts are not at all connecting you with spiritual things. Perhaps they are too much grounded in everyday concerns rather than having a higher perspective. And with this lack of focus, with this lack of discernment about perhaps even where you should be focusing your thoughts, you are losing access to wisdom that you could easily have access to, but because your thoughts are focused in the wrong direction and you're not really perhaps even very aware of your thinking. So it's really, holding you back from this Queen of Wands, which is really has strong intuition and extra strong connection to the spiritual realms and higher knowledge. And so you want to rethink these things because you're missing out on some information and knowledge that could really be assisting you during this time of transformation this year. This year is a year to be letting go for you of things that don't really align with your uniqueness, that don't really align with how you want your dreams, how you really want your life to be. Surrendering all the things that are not for you, embracing your unique path and being ready to take that into, from 2022 and beyond, as the energy shifts out of Aquarius and begins to move into Pisces. So this is a year or the beginning really of a phase of a few years where things need to be let go. But you can't do that unless you have the strong connection between, the strong connection in your mind and your intuition that allows you to connect what you're thinking and experiencing here with the access to information and understanding and knowledge and insight that you can gain from a more spiritual point of view and a spiritual connection. And this is just the beginning of Mercury asking you to think about all those things. Thanks so much for tuning in today, and I would love to hear in the comments how you experience this, if you watch this over the next few weeks or you watch it now and you come back and let me know how it resonated with your lived experience of Mercury retrograde in Aquarius. Please like and subscribe so that you don't miss any of the upcoming videos where we look at the transits and what they mean personally for you. And also when I'm doing other videos right now, sort of giving you an understanding of how to become better acquainted with your birth chart and to start to piece together the story of your soul. Okay, great. See you next time.